There is a new Owlet spawn being introduced with Update 30 coming in September 2021. Here's how to find and farm it effectively. Hello everyone, welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. Bethesda is adding a second Owlet spawn to Fallout 76 in order to make things a bit easier in terms of farming and of course to give everyone a better chance to learn the Owlet Nuggets recipe introduced back with the Wastelanders DLC, since now it has no active predators. After all, it's like a miracle to find the Owlet alive in the first spawn inside the deep. In this guide, I will share everything I learned about the second spawn, including how to access it with any character, how to bypass a major bug, how to farm it effectively, and even explore if it can be tamed. Well then, let's start with where can you find the second Owlet? Update 30, or the Fallout Worlds patch, is introducing a second Owlet spawn, which is right at the Heaven Church. If you are wondering how did I find it so early, well, I just data-mined all the Owlet locations in game, dead and alive, and there you go, there aren't many options to look for anyway. Okay, so the new Owlet is at this church in the mire, but where exactly? It spawns on top of the roof and can also move around. Now, if you're going to farm him properly, watch out for explosion weapons or perks because you can easily lose track of the body. It's pretty small and the surrounding areas contain lots of pushes. Also, if you farm the Owlet in custom worlds, make sure to disable the enemy proximity spawn because enemies will most likely kill the Owlet and you get no meat that way, just like it happened to me here. Anyway, the Owlet moves around, so it's normal for you guys to find it in different parts of the roof. Well, I recorded the entire Heaven Church roof for about 10 minutes, and I discovered that the Owlet moves around across at least 8 points. Sometimes it's buggy though, as in the Owlet can move back and forward with no stopping. However, according to the lead level designer Steve, the Owlet here should move and change spots every 60 seconds. As shown in the footage, the Owlet moves in a clockwise sequence at the edges of the roof with at least 8 stop points. Anyhow, this is mostly a curiosity point and me going in depth with his movement patterns. For the casual player, all you should know is that the Owlet can be found at the edges of the roof if it's alive. So once you get on the roof, just use your VATS to find it without much of an effort. If you can't, then it most likely means the Owlet got killed and is currently on cooldown. Lastly, my friend Madocrot informed me that the Owlet can sometimes be found at the ground level. I'm not sure how did this happen because during my tests, which include some 50 server jumps, I never ever found it outside of the roof, only when the body fell after being killed. Either way, it doesn't hurt to use VATS around the area, just to be sure, so if you don't find it at first glance, make sure to check around shortly and then move on. Okay, you should also know that this roof is accessible for everyone, literally, so if you wish to come here and learn the Owlet Nuggets recipe while being new to the game or with your low-level characters or alt accounts, you can totally do it without any assistance. First of all, if you have a jetpack, you can access it from any point, really. Now, if you don't have any jetpacks, but you do have the marsupial mutation, then just get on top of this low branch pretty much in front of the entrances and then jump normally to access the roof. Lastly, for characters with no jetpacks or marsupial, go to the back of the church until you find this orange branch, sort of vine, jump on top of the lower part and then just walk straight towards the roof and that's it. I think this spawn is really well taught because mobs cannot reach the Owlet, not at all, but any character can easily hunt it down and farm its precious meat, so that's awesome. If you have never killed an Owlet before, then make sure to come to Heaven Church. reach the roof and take one of them down. I know it feels wrong, this critter is absolutely adorable, but it's the only way to learn the Owlet recipe. You need to loot its meat, otherwise you cannot learn it. If you really hate to kill one, ask a friend to share his meat or something. Anyway, there is no notification when you learn the recipe, but that doesn't mean you didn't learn it. After picking the meat for the first time, head to a cooking station and you will immediately see that the Owlet nuggets are now part of your crafting list. I know this system is a bit tricky and deceiving, but it's how it works for some recipes, so it's good for you to know about it. Now that you know how to reach the new Owlet spawn with any character, let me tell you how to farm it effectively. First of all, make sure to rank up the Perception perk Butcher's Bounty to rank 3 and equip it, of course. This perk gives you 80% chance to find additional meat, and boy oh boy, it makes such a big difference. I basically got 2 Owlet meat per body instead of just 1, so you are basically doubling your farming efforts by equipping this perk. Anyway, the rest is simple. Server hopping is the key to farm as many meat as you want. You can either go back to the main menu or join a friend to make it even quicker. Now keep in mind that you might find no Owlet quite frequently, not because the Owlet is not spawning, but because there are way more players per server than Owlets. Plus, this is the only reliable spot we have right now, so expect this location to become popular in no time. Alright, server jumping is definitely the quickest way to farm Owlets here, but if you want to speed things even more, then know that there are a few things you can do. However, you need Fallout first to follow this strategy. First of all, make sure to place your survival tent at the back of the church to spawn even closer to the Owlet than the standard fast travel point. Right in front of the church in the road. With the tent, you get a new spawn point every time you server jump. Then do a rotation of public, private, public, private. Why? Well, I discovered that starting at a public server, then switching to a private server, and then going back to public is the best rotation you can do. And this is because while you join a public server, your private has time to reset. It takes around 30 seconds to 1 minute for my private server to reset. So by the time I killed and looted the Owlet in public, my private world is now reset and ready to be farmed again. This strategy also ensures you find Owlets alive more often, since half of it relies on your private world response. So besides being the quickest way, it's also the most consistent and reliable one. Moving forward, you may be wondering, how long do you have to wait for the Owlet to respawn? Well, it depends. As I mentioned in the previous point, private worlds take around 1 minute to reset and respawn killed mobs. As for public servers, things are very different. It can take hours, I'm afraid. The Owlet is no different than a regular enemy, so the same respawn rules should apply. I often came across an empty spawn while testing, since there aren't that many servers active during public tests, but once this spawn hits the official servers, it is to be expected that many players will hunt it down. As such, do not stand there waiting for the Owlet to respawn. That's the worst thing you can do. Simply server jump until you find it alive. That's definitely the way. Anyway, I was curious if other players could trigger a respawn when they join you. It sometimes works in mainstream locations like the White Spring Golf Club, but sadly I had no success with the Owlet spawn here. I had a few friends joining my server and coming to the Haven Church while the Owlet was dead. And well, it stayed as dead as it can get. No respawns ever happened. So I think it's safe to say that other players are not able to force a respawn. Whether you're trying this on a public or private server, which I tested on both. Nonetheless, if you are able to, feel free to try this trick yourself. Maybe you are luckier than me. You never know. Let's proceed. Now let's talk about crafting. Once you farm as much Owlet meat as you want, head to a cooking station, but before you start grilling, make sure to equip the Super Duper Rank 3 perk under Luck, because it often gives you an extra craft without using any extra ingredients. It's pretty awesome. Just like here, I had enough for 2 crafts and ended up with 3 with the aid of Super Duper. Anyway, the base benefits of Owlet nuggets are not very impressive. You can get 25 extra health and 1 extra intelligence point for 30 minutes, but if you get the carnivore mutation, you can easily double the benefits to 50 HP and 2 extra intelligence, which is amazing to level up faster, by the way. As a reminder, each intelligence point equals 2% more experience gain, so 4% right there. But hold on, there is a way to triple the benefits from the nuggets. Besides being a carnivore, you need to join a team with at least 1 mutated player while having the Strange in Numbers perk equipped. If you meet all these conditions, you can get up to 3 extra intelligence points, and that's really good. It's pretty lovely, and the best part is the nuggets are super easy to craft, so this is definitely a new entry to use on a daily basis for you carnivore players. Talking about perks, if you mass craft Owlet meat or craft Owlet nuggets, you might want to secure your efforts by preserving your food. There are many ways to do so, and I highly advise you to use at least one of them, as it best fits you. Otherwise, you risk the food to spoil and then it's basically work in vain, and nobody wants that. So here we go. If you intend to carry such foods with you, then you should either use the luck perk Good with Salt, which decreases the spoil rate of food up to 90%, or use the backpack mod Refrigerator, which has a similar effect. The spoil rate decreases up to 60%, plus food weights a little bit less. Lastly, if you want to leave your Owlet goodies at your camp, then make sure to store them inside any cooler like a refrigerator, which has similar effects to the Good with Salt perk. Just don't forget to grab your nuggets or meat over time, or they will ultimately spoil inside your stash, and the stinky stash is not a pleasant one, is it now? While I was making this video, I questioned myself, can the Owlet actually be pacified or tamed? And the answer is yes and no. Let me explain. You can definitely pacify this critter, as almost every other creature in the wasteland, that's for sure. I did it over a dozen of times, as you can see here, with no issues whatsoever. But the tame button never showed up, no matter what I did. And yes, I did have both rank 3 Animal Friend and Wastelander Whisper perks equipped at all times. I even tested on a random encounter spawn to make sure the tame option was popping up. It took me a while, but after some 5 server jumps, I finally managed to get the tame option to show up on this dog. So yes, it's working, but I don't think you can tame the Owlet, for the simple fact that this Haven Church spawn is a fixed spot. And as you may or may not remember, you can only tame certain creatures from random spawns. Still, I tested a lot, and after 1 hour of being a pacifist, I just came to terms that no, taming this Owlet is not possible. But who knows, maybe Bethesda will add the Owlet to the random spawn list at some point, and then you will be able to tame your own Owlet. Until then, you will have to wait, because my friends, this is very much a fixed spawn, and no taming is allowed here. Lastly, I discovered a persistent bug, which will most likely carry on to the official servers, as most new bugs found in the PTS. Sometimes the Owlet will get frozen in time and space, forever and ever. Literally, it still has the body movements, but it will not move from its own spot. If you kill the Owlet in this state, it will not transform into a body with loot. It will remain as a frozen visual with no possible interactions. But hold on, I have great news for you all. I found a way to bypass this bug. All you have to do is hit the stuck body with a plasma weapon, such as a warglaive, and voila, issue resolved. The body will transform into a goo pile, and you can now loot the Owlet meat. I encountered the bug all about about 50% of the time I server jumped, so I'm afraid this issue will affect most of you sooner or later. But hey, at least now you know how to get your meat nonetheless. Alright then, that's everything I discovered about the second Owlet spawn added to the game. Hopefully a few more will come in the future, especially one that is not a fixed spawn, because I'm sure some of you guys are dying to tame this cute creature. I hope you were able to learn something new with this guide, and remember, the nuggets recipe has no notification when you first pick up the meat. Still, your character does learn the plan, so don't worry, and don't get deceived by the game. That's the most important part. Well, that's everything. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions not answered in this guide, feel free to post them in the comments. Also consider subscribing if you haven't yet for more 76 content. And as usual, a huge thanks to all my dear supporters. You guys are the best. As for me, I am Arte Branco, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Until then, take care. Adeus. Bye bye.